Hello, and welcome to the Stuff I Learned About Learning, a TCEA podcast. I'm your co host, Macy Hall Greer, here with my co host, Robert Bennett. Robert, I have a question for you today. Have you ever experienced a piece of technology or a brand that was here one day and just gone the next?
Yeah, totally. Like the thing that comes to mind really, that's hard to explain to like my kids, is the bars that we used to put on our steering wheels in cars to lock them in the 90s. That
Mm.
was a huge deal, and we were all convinced that this made our cars completely safe. And we were very worried about that. We were very worried about car theft in the 90s. And then suddenly we just stopped doing it. That is one of the strangest things. It's harder, like that makes less sense to me than like a BlackBerry, which
Oh, yeah.
had a bunch of use, and then something better came along. But the bar thing, we just I don't know, maybe cars got better that we didn't need them more. It's very strange.
That is strange. I do remember, and forgive me if these details are off because it's been probably several years since I saw this. I don't remember if it was a TikTok or a reel. It was some social media video. I know I'm always talking about TikToks on the podcast, but they were using one of those bars for the steering wheel,
Hmm.
and they showed how easy it is to still drive with the bar on.
Yeah, I think
Like you could still steal the car.
some of them were like really really long, so that you couldn't turn the wheel in the car, which is of course
Interesting.
like that's not a fun thing to just lug around with you. Like, look how awful this is to have in my car, is the point of the thing. So really didn't make a whole lot of sense. I give hats off to that company's ad team, because they convinced us that it was definitely something we needed to have.
Well, that happens in the tech world so often where you see a piece of hardware or a piece of software even pop up, new companies pop up left and right, and then not all of them make it. They just kind of disappear. But what doesn't
Yeah.
disappear is education. And as an education technology company, we need to focus on both pieces. And that education piece is just so important and it's not going anywhere. So, here to talk about the connection between the teaching and the tech and turning the tech into opportunities that last rather than just a flash in the pan are Jim and Maurie Beasley. Jim and Maurie Beasley are from Llano ISD. Jim is the technology director, and Maurie is the network and system administrator. They are a dynamic duo married couple team who is just shaking it up over there at Llano ISD. Jim, Mari, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're
Thank you for
welcome
having
for
us.
having us.
So I understand you guys both work in ed tech, but from different angles. What's it like working together in the same district and even, as I understand it, the same office?
Hmm.
Yes, he is actually about, it used to be 6 feet away from me, but after being back in this department for 3 years, I convinced him to let me move my desk. I am now about 15 feet away from him, which that makes a
Wow.
huge difference, especially when it comes to like saving the marriage.
I'm
So
gonna get a I'm gonna get a Nerf gun though, so I can get her attention.
he keeps saying he's going to do that. Now, we
Yeah.
are both in education, but it's kind of strange. I'm the educator portion of the relationship, and he is the engineer portion of the relationship. He has helped with a class before and like helped teach or build
Co-teach.
curriculum for like the computer science class at the high school. But I actually started out as a tech lab person, finished my degree, went into the classroom, stayed in the classroom for a long time, became a counselor and then an assistant principal. And then I came back over to the dark side. I'm now the system network administrator for the district.
Jim, I understand you have more of an engineering background, as Mari mentioned. How does that different experience help you, tackle issues in the ed tech space as a team?
Well, when I first started, it made me naive because I told the superintendent when he hired me that I was going to stay about 2 or 3 years until I fixed all the problems, and then I was going to go back to the private sector. I've known him for a long time. I was just going to kind of try it out. That was 20 years ago. So apparently My idea of fixing everything was naive at best. But perspective for me is it's been it's been interesting for me because I used to work a lot in the private sector with directly with customers, but it's just a different kind of customer when you're trying the classroom environment is just different.
Mm.
But the engineering side of it helps me a lot because it makes me extremely analytical. I know a lot about technology, so I can spend time sitting with teachers and seeing how they do things and trying to find things that fit better in the classroom than an off the shelf technology. I tend to try to customize things. I actually listen to the teachers because I don't have a preconceived idea about what the classroom should look like. So I listen to them, and what they tell me, I try to accommodate as the best I can.
It's
But
also very frustrating for him though, because I mean, we've
it
all
is.
dealt with teachers before, and we're the type of person that's like, oh, let's just press that button. Oh, let's try that. Oh, let's just enter this. And so, since he is very logical and very like point A to point B to point C, um, I know that he does get frustrated with the teaching staff and with me because our personality is a little bit
Oh,
different, right?
really?
So, really,
It's Listen, I'm a marketer married to an engineer. I understand the opposites
Oh, so
attract.
you've
I'm
got one
with
of
you.
those too.
I
yeah,
got
it's
one of
it's
those
like
too.
I feel you. I've got one of those. Yes, exactly.
Uh, Jim, on that point, you've been in Llano ISD for 20 years with the same budget. Is that correct? Has it
That's
changed at
correct.
all?
Has not gone up at all. I
Wow.
mean, it helps whenever we get, we'll pass a bond, which helps with capital equipment purchases and things like that. But it wasn't a big deal at first because technology tends to go down in price, and we don't buy typically the leading edge stuff. The leading edge is the most expensive. We're maybe one, two generations back, so the cost curve has always been down. So it's really been okay. That's not the same anymore. The cost curve is not going down anymore. So, and a lot of things are being sold as services now instead of products. And so it's just completely chewing through my budget.
Mm.
And they've tried to be accommodating, to help out how they can, but we're in the same boat everybody else is. We're not getting more funding from the state or federal government. So it has been very challenging the last probably 3 years since Mari's been here because she does a lot of the purchasing for the district, and her and I have spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make things work that we wouldn't have had to try as hard before as we have now.
One of the benefits that we do have is like we were going to replace a bunch of servers here at the district, but server cost is so expensive. But because of Jim's background as an engineer, we actually ended up building our servers
Wow.
instead of purchasing them already built. So, like, okay, I need you to get this chassis, I need you to get this case, we need these fans, we need this memory. And so he actually built several of the servers that we're having to replace some of our outdated ones. So that's a benefit that I think we have because of him being at the district that other districts might not have. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's interesting because so when you say that now things are being sold as services, like I had a thing just a few months ago when we had a problem with our water heater at our house, and I had a guy come
Hmm.
and fix it, and he said, "Would you like to subscribe to our services?" And I was like, "You want me to
Oh.
subscribe to a plumber? Like that's a new one. I'm not used to that one. I know it's probably great for accounting to have like this regular revenue hitting your books, but from a customer perspective, less than great."
No,
Uh,
it's really. I mean, my water softener at my house. If I want to check my water softener to see if the water I need to add salt, I have to sign up and pay for a monthly service.
yeah.
And that kind of thing is really. I mean, it's when I got here, it was 5-6% of my budget. Now it's almost 50% of my
Wow.
budget is services, and I can't get rid of them. I mean, they're everything is a service now, so it's been
So
helpful.
one of the things that we've started doing at the district because of that is we have started doing things like, okay, if campus software purchases, you're going to have to think about it as a campus and put it in your campus budget. I think what Jim, you started that about 10 years ago.
Yes,
Maybe. And
maybe.
that's because we had found that a lot of times, I mean, we had ran into a situation where a teacher was like, oh, we have this software that we buy. And it's like, or they would come to us and say, we want to buy this software package. And we say, wait a second, you already have that software package. And so it's almost giving them ownership of their own programs that they're having teachers utilize. And we're also starting to look a little bit more at return on investment. Like I might have a specific piece of software, and every year I'll go in and I'll say, okay, I need you to send me the list of teachers that are actively using your product. And if I only have 5 or 10 teachers that are using it, I will go to the district and say, okay, guys, we're paying $7,000 a year for 10 of you. So we need to either A, grassroots, tell all your friends about this, or B, we're only going to keep it for this 1 year and then we're going to pull it out of the budget for the
And we
next
have
year.
pulled some that way, and it was incredibly unpopular. I thought I was going to get killed. I mean, the
Oh
people that
no.
did use it loved it, but there just wasn't enough of them. And the
Mhm.
price, even on the services, the prices are continuously going up. It's just like the hardware costs are continuously going up. And the services costs going up meant it passed that ROI point Maurie was talking about where didn't make sense anymore. So I canceled the product. Oh man, that was an unpopular decision.
Yes, that sounds like that would be quite tough to go through.
It
I
was.
know, I know that y'all have built some in-house solutions like the chatbot. Can you tell me
Mhm.
a little bit more about that project, like how it came to be and what it is doing for staff now?
You want the real reason it came to be, or the one that sounds better on podcasts?
Well, how about one and then and then the other?
Okay.
Ah,
Well,
I'm sorry. I just had flashbacks to the old songs, "Lie to Me," the words in the
Yeah.
song. Jim, don't lie. Tell them the real reason, and then we'll tell them, you know.
I'd been here, I'd built it 3 years ago, but I'd been here for 17 years, and I was sick of doing training because every
Fair.
time I do a new teacher training or a training, how many times have you done a training and then an hour later somebody asks you a question that literally was covered in the training, and you're sitting
Yep.
there going, okay, did you not hear me? Did I not speak clearly? How could you not know this? And so I built our first Agnes chatbot, which was when the large language models came out, specifically because I'd already started on a chatbot, but it didn't have large language models, with the idea of having it ingest all of this information that I'm sick of telling people about. And then I would just say, ask Agnes, thank you, and I would leave. That would be my training. And when we first put it out, we ingested all this, HR information, all the stuff it was no student information. It was more like, what's the phone list? What's the dress code kind of stuff, student handbooks, teacher handbooks, all that stuff. We got all that in there and we rolled it out in March of 2023. And it was lukewarm in terms of people looking at it. And it was too foreign then, too different. We've changed our strategy since then. Agnes has gotten a complete makeover. Instead of me doing a complete build your own, I've been using some existing open source projects to help me get along faster. And the current version, we did a completely different pilot last year, which Maurie can tell you about in a second because she was really involved in that. But anyway, Maurie, you can tell them phase two of it.
Okay, so basically, I know by walking down the hallways that almost every teacher is utilizing a free version of an AI. I mean, if they're not doing it through district um, hardware, they're doing it through on their
Mm.
personal computers because it helps you a lot. I mean, it helps you save time. It helps you brainstorm ideas. It helps you differentiate. It helps you come up with lesson enhancement. It really does help a lot. And so, because of that, I started looking at okay, if we gave everyone in our district their own paid for version of ChatGPT specifically, how much would it cost us? Well, at 200 certified teachers at $20 a month, you're talking $4,000 a month in a subscription cost. And so I'm like, Jim, we can't afford that. I mean, our budget's been flat for a long time. And so he was like, well, let's do this through an API connection. And so what he has done is he has taken a open source project. It is the backbone, and then he has built scripting around it and added stuff to this open source tool to where we now have API access to any large language model that he wants to put in there. So, Jim, which ones are in there right now? We have OpenAI, we
I have
have
OpenAI, I have Gemini, we have Anthropic, Claude. I've added at one point, I've also got some completely local models running with a tool called Llama, so I can
Oh.
actually run them on my own server. Um, the reason I did that one had more to do with me wanting to put in filters. I
Mhm.
haven't got the filters set up the way I want to yet. This is a fair amount of work to get all these tools working together, but I wanted to filter like personal information in case you accidentally enter something, that kind of stuff. And I want to use local models for that because they're small and they run locally. I've also created, I was just working on it last night, a speech to text running completely local, so they can talk into their phone or whatever, and it'll store the transcript of what they said locally, so it doesn't go to the cloud and come back
Mhm.
again. I haven't rolled that out to teachers yet. The latest tool that I'm adding in also is a more fine-tuned budgeting tool. So for each model, I can assign each teacher a budget. Here's your budget for the month, well, whatever that number is, and when it goes to zero, it cuts off the model for them. I
Hmm.
wanted, and we haven't had any trouble with that,
Nope.
so it hasn't been urgent. But I still wanted to have the ability in the long term to do more fine-grained budgeting on it. It's
It's
I'll
called
put
definitely
it.
a
volume
neat
element.
feature.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Well, let me put it in perspective for you. There is a fuel gauge. So when I log in as a teacher, I have a fuel gauge that it starts at full and then it decrements as I use my tokens. We have had no one that's ran out of their tokens. I had last year, we piloted to 6 teachers to where we specifically said, okay, here you guys, I'm going to come into your classroom once a week. I'm going to spend about half an hour with you once a week. We're going to make sure you're utilizing it. Of those 6 teachers, they all became heavy daily users of an AI to help them with stuff. The maximum amount we spent in 1 month was $6.87.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
So
like much less than a burrito, like
yeah,
significantly less,
Yeah,
especially the
really.
ones that I get.
I
Less
mean
than that coffee
that's
Maury
like my
bought.
coffee. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's 1 cup of coffee, right? So I'm sitting here going, okay, you're going to send this to 200 full-time staff members that are teachers that might be using it. That's about $1 a month.
Yeah.
Right? If they're using it every single day. So I'm looking at having I can easily absorb $200 a month for my teachers to have access to the largest, biggest, big boys out there when it comes to artificial intelligence, right? The
Yeah.
heavy hitters. And so do they have to learn how to prompt? Absolutely. I mean, we teach them how to prompt. We give them those guidelines. We teach them about FERPA and all that stuff we already know. We already know not to put student information in. We already know
Mhm.
not to put, data in like that. We have local models for that stuff. But when it comes to just helping them with their day to day, it has been amazing. I had one of their husbands come up to me one evening in the grocery store and tell me thank you. And I'm like, well, okay. And he's no, seriously, my wife is home by 5 o'clock every day now.
Wow.
And this was, last school year. They even started an exercise class 2 days a week at the school because they were able to leave their classroom at 4:30 to go do a 30-minute exercise class.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, and so it's just it took a little bit off of their plates. Um, so I think it's amazing. If you're a district who has a lot of money to burn, then absolutely. Go get those subscription models. I call it the training wheels for teachers. If you can spend that much every year for your teachers to be able to like have somebody else build the prompts for them, then do that.
The
But
other
if you want to,
reason, yeah, I wanted to interrupt for 1 second on that particular thought. The other reason behind us doing it ourselves, there are tools out there that already give teachers access to models and they have the prompts are built in and all that other stuff. There's a couple of reasons why we don't like those. One is Marty mentioned the cost. The second one is we experienced about 8 years ago, Jim almost got burned in effigy again because we had brought in a new tool. It was fantastic. Everybody loved it. And the company just went away. I mean, they
Mhm.
didn't kind of sort of warn us, they just disappeared. And VC funded Silicon Valley companies come and go like socks. And I tell people all the time when vendors ask us questions about stuff and I start talking about longevity, I say we've been around since like 1880. We're not going anywhere. You've been around since yesterday.
Mhm.
Who
Mhm.
knows how long you've been here. So I don't want to risk it. I don't want to wake up one day and you be gone. So I want the teachers to learn how to use the models directly, learn how to build their own prompts. Well, I built a prompt tool for them that's similar to some of the ones you see online. Or I built it in a weekend. It's not hard to have a prompting tool.
Mhm.
It's harder to teach people how to use the different because different models do different things, and I want them to know that. I want them to know that if you're using Gemini, here's what its limitations are, and here's what its strengths are. Same thing with OpenAI. Same thing with Claude, Anthropic, or Mistral, or any of the other models out there. If we're going to teach the kids properly, we're going to have to understand it better than just as a cute prompting tool, in my opinion.
he
Definitely.
also Sorry, he also put little dollar signs in front of the models. So, like, whenever my teacher goes to Agnes and she does the drop down, it'll have the little dollar signs like on a menu. So
Yeah.
they'll know that if they're using this model, they're using the most tokens for that model. And then I've trained them. You use that if you're doing like images and things like that. Go to the one that has the $2 signs for everyday use, and you'll never run out of tokens.
Yeah, that's great. It's like the idea of like trying to get like the fresh fish of the day deal at the
Hmm.
restaurant, where it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
you have to ask for the price for that one.
That's
yeah,
right.
that
Yeah.
exactly.
It's kind of crazy that you have this set up to the point where I kind of wonder like why schools don't do this. Is it because it's so much work to get this all plugged in and going to have
Um,
access to all of them at once?
I think a lot of it is most tech directors I've met don't come from engineering backgrounds. Most of them come from education backgrounds. I'm not knocking that. That's fine. I'm just saying, especially this early in the AI. I mean, AI has been around for
Mhm.
three. I mean, large language models. AI has been around a lot longer, but large language models have been here what 3.5 years, maybe 3 years, and
November 2022.
so and from the time when I started, I built. It came out November 2022. I put out Agnes in March of 2023, so only a few months
Wow.
later. And when you think about it, though, that's because I had a technical background, knew how to do it. Now, has it gotten easier? Yes, it has gotten a lot easier. I mean, I'm Maury and I are working on a master class now. We're going to put all this stuff together and get people to, here's a master class on how to do it yourself. And yes, it does require some technical background, but I can tell you, I'm doing things that I'm not qualified to do either because I have AI tools to help me do them. I didn't write a user interface for the thing I built over the weekend for how to do that speech to text thing I was talking about. I didn't write that code. I could have, but it would have taken me a lot longer. I wrote it in 15 minutes, and now it's an integration and testing problem. And so I think schools can do it. I would love to see schools do it more. I'd like to see IT departments step up and do this because I think we're doing a disservice to the teachers and the students by not being able to do some of this stuff in house.
I had the absolute privilege of meeting you both and seeing you present at our elementary technology conference. It was wonderful.
Thanks.
Uh, and the presentation that I sat in on, Jim, what you're talking about here of teaching for the future really aligned with that presentation in teaching the skills that you need for AI before you even get into the AI tech. I
Right.
thought that was absolutely awesome. So I know you guys do a lot of work with breaking tech down into digestible pieces, not just for students, but even for educators. So,
Mhm.
what does that look like in practice? And how do you use that to empower these educators moving forward?
That's a
Mari?
tough one. So, we did a presentation about unplugged activities at that elementary conference, to where basically we have these activities, 13 of them right now, to where you come in and you start teaching the thought process behind what AI is. It doesn't take any technology at all whatsoever. It's hands on learning. They start learning like pattern recognition and predictive and all of the things that an AI is trained to do. And then when they get older into like third, fourth, fifth grade, they start learning how to question and what bias is and why does bias exist, because the AI is not what's bias. It's the information that the AI has been trained on that was biased. So a lot of it has to do with just starting at the very, very beginning with just the basics and then moving them up from there. And then once they get out of fifth grade and get into junior high, that's when you start talking about a lot more of the dangers of AI, the dangers of deep fakes and faked videos and the legalities of what you should and should not do if something like this happens to you. And that's really when it starts pulling over into the administrative side and the counselor side and stuff. So that's how we do it for students. Now, when it comes to teachers, what we have found is the best way to show a teacher what it can do is to connect with the teacher on a personal level, not on something that they do in the classroom. So we just did administrative training for Hutto ISD, and their leadership came in, and we literally had somebody come in without a computer at all, and he was going to sit into the training because he doesn't use AI, he says. And so about an hour later, he left and went and got his computer, brought it back in, got his free account. And the reason he did that is because we had tied it into his health. It's like, okay, I have a NutriCoach. I have high cholesterol. Jim wrote me a NutriCoach, which is basically a GPT. It knows what I like to eat. It knows what my cholesterol is. I can enter in, this is what's in my refrigerator. What should I cook tonight to help me with my cholesterol? So you hit them on that personal note. And as soon as you find something that's like, it's almost like a love lesson when you're in the classroom, it's what they connect with. as soon as they see that benefit, then they can start like seeing other benefits that AI can give. Um,
I'm
there's
not
always
gonna.
this.
We're not gonna lie to you though. It's been an uphill slog here. I mean,
Absolutely.
we're not just saying it just rolled out here and everybody embraced us with open arms just because we work here. Not what happens.
Mm-mm.
There's as
It's
much
it's hard to
resistance.
be a prophet in your own village,
There's
right?
as much resistance here as anywhere. Now, part of our philosophy comes from Maurie ran a makerspace for many years, and our makerspace started out as this place we're going to come in. You're going to have all this great technology, and the kids are going to love it, and the teachers hated it. And the problem was is that it was too much, too much. So we went back in the basic fundamentals of education. We tore down into the core skills that we felt were necessary, but we focused on developing those core skills with an idea at the end of what you would do with them. But the goal was to develop them very young, so where they already knew some of these core skills. By the time they got to the high school, they could really use those skills and the tools that went with those skills. So just because it's AI doesn't mean you forget the fundamentals of education. I mean, at the end of the day, you teach reading, writing, arithmetic. That's you teach those the three R's as they used to be called. You teach that stuff because theoretically, by knowing that, you can build on it. You can build other things. AI works the same way. You don't have to understand all of it, but there are some fundamental things you should understand about it in order to then utilize it as a building block to do deeper learning than what you're just going to use if you start treating it like Google.
Mhm.
And that's
Hmm.
what we're concerned about when we talk about these different prompting tools out there. We feel like you're missing that foundation. The teachers, I'm talking about teachers now, not students. Teachers can't teach what they really don't understand. And they need, but at the same time, you can't force them and say, this is going to replace all this, everything you've ever done before, you don't need to know anymore because this is going to replace all that. Because it's not true. Not if you want to maintain what it is to be human. I mean, you still have to learn those fundamentals.
Right. I'm one of the founding members of the human intelligence movement, which it has a lot to do with keeping the human in the loop. But the main thing is that human connection that still has to happen, even though AI might be there. Um, one of the things I also like to talk about a lot is you have arrived on the AI scene when you start looking at artificial intelligence as an opportunity AI, not as an efficiency AI. The difference is if I'm utilizing AI to help me with my emails and to help me with my data, analysis and to help me with my lesson planning, I'm using it for efficiency, right? It's making me faster. It's giving me more time in my day. Hey, good for me. I'm able to go to an exercise class now, or I'm able to go home a little bit early. That's awesome. If that's all you ever want to use it for, it is still amazing. If I start using it as an opportunity, something that I would do only because I now have AI to assist me,
Mhm.
that is when I am utilizing AI at the next level. So, real quick difference. I had a kid in my makerspace. He bought 100 glasses that he brought into the makerspace and he designed his family reunion logo etched on the glass using a laser cutter, all 100 of those glasses, right? He took that to his family reunion and he was just going to give it away. Well, they all insisted on paying him $10 a glass, and there was about 100 of them that he did. So he made $1,000, and he was eighth grade. Came back to me, and he was so excited about the fact that he just made $1,000. He was going to open up his first savings account. Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. I see that artificial intelligence could be an opportunity. That kid was not looking at that makerspace as just a class, just something to show up. He was looking at those tools as a way to create an opportunity for him. So when you can look at artificial intelligence as a way to create an opportunity, start a new company, do a new website, edit a new book, right? Those are the ways that you're going to utilize it to where it's going to make you make more money, better station in life, that kind of thing.
I find actually the one thing that I'm doing at home with AI that I normally would never do is my kid wants to play D&D.
Oh,
But there's a lot of rules in D&D that I don't
We're
necessarily
well
want to
aware.
learn. Or I mean, like I've talked to some people, they say they go on Reddit to try and find out if this is
Yep.
possible. But I'm like, no, this is for basic stuff. I don't even know how like the basic spells work.
D&D Beyond, my guy. D&D Beyond.
Yes. Well, that might be one thing. I haven't looked at that, but actually, Claude is the thing that I've been using. Where I'm like, hey, it's they're trying to cast this. Can this work? What do I do? And then I'll read it, and then I'll see how it works. Or if he's like, says, like, I'm out of monsters. I want to fight more things. What should we be doing? And I'm like, what's a fun monster to fight if you're a level 3 bard?
Right.
Um, it
That's
will come
awesome.
up with answers for me. And like,
Mhm.
I continue to think of it almost as a 3D printer for content, in that what it's going to put
Mm.
out is probably going to be a little messy, require a
Mhm.
little bit of sanding down and fixing.
Mhm.
It's probably not something you want to do anything too critical with. For example, I would not want to 3D print a car part for my own car and then drive it on the highway.
No, you
Right.
would not.
But like, it is something that can give you the support and find fun things to do with that could be an opportunity as well. So
That's
I
awesome.
yeah, I feel that one in a big way.
Mhm.
Uh,
Our aunt, our son-in-law and our son and our daughter, they all have. I didn't realize D&D was such a big deal. They have these neighborhood D&D
mhm,
parties now, and our son-in-law is the dungeon master, whatever he is. He's the one who creates the game, and
mhm.
so he has started. That was the first one of the first things he used ChatGPT for. We introduced it to him almost 3 years ago.
Right.
Was he immediately applied it to planning games strategy? Something.
Yeah.
I'm not a D&D person. I really don't know what I'm supposed to say. And our oldest son is now doing the same thing. He lives in New Braunfels, and my daughter and my son-in-law live in Liberty Hill, and they have two different neighborhoods, but they both have kind of neighborhood D&D parties now. I
Let's
think it's
talk
cool, but
you just mentioned using it. We're in rural America, right? That's where we're at. We're out in Llano, Texas. So we're about a 45-minute drive to any like good
civilization.
emergency civilization clinic or anything like that. And I see artificial intelligence as being something that's really helpful for rural America. Not just that, but even like the other day, we have a brand new grandbaby. She is almost 14 days old, so she's not even 2 weeks old yet. And late at night, I'm at my daughter's house, and she has a question about something that she's noticed with the baby. And you cannot call a doctor, and you don't really know what you're going to get if you go to a YouTube video. And so she literally has a chat going with an AI just with general questions. Hey, is this normal? Hey, should I suspect this? Hey, should I look at this? Hey,
She doesn't turn
even
her brain off. She still
no,
uses her brain.
she still uses it. And the AI is also really good about saying, you should call a doctor at this time, right? Or you should, ask these questions. Um, so I see it as being a great little supplemental tool, but it should only supplement, not supplant.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's the right
I had
point.
one more quick story that I wanted to tell you. It's a
Absolutely.
really quick one, but I want to see if you guys think this is as cool as I did. I thought this was cool, but so far I just haven't got the reaction I expected. So I was doing work in my workshop, and I needed to push a reset button on a security camera so I could default it. I have an Indian arrowhead, as they're called. I think they're not called Indian arrowheads now. I don't know what the term is they use for them now, but that's not politically correct. But it's a little point. I think they call them points. Anyway, it was the perfect size to press the button. I thought, you know what? I have a really old tool here. This is a tool that I just used on a very modern piece of technology. So I asked the AI, how old is this? And I gave it a picture of it, and it estimated the age at about 8,000 years. It was found in Llano County. So I asked it to create a story of what it was like, probably in Llano County 8,000 years ago, and the story about the kid or the person who built this tool that it was literally transported across 8,000 years into my hands so I could press a button to default a piece of modern technology. And it wrote me this really cool story about them using it, and they were hunting, and they missed a deer and it fell into the sand, and so they transported it. So it built a story over an 8,000 year period of a tool that was transported across time. I thought, that's a really cool, and it took 5 minutes for me to do
Mm.
that. That's
Yeah.
a really cool way to connect local Llano County thing to history, and because it gave me a really nice description of what it probably looked like here 8,000 years ago, because it was a
Mhm.
completely different environment than it is now, and what the environment was about globally and all this stuff. No teacher's going to take the time to do that. It takes too long because the research alone would be enormous. I just thought that was cool. So
That is really cool.
Yeah.
I thought it's a great way to really bring history. I like history a lot, so I thought it was a really cool way to bring history alive.
That
Love to
makes
hear
me
it.
think of the start of 2001, where you start with a very old tool and then
Mhm.
transition to a very new piece of tech. Though, of
That's where
course,
I thought the idea from. I saw that show when I was little, so yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I hope that our AI turns out differently. Though, if it
Me
involves
too.
aliens, I'm all for it. That would be a little bit spicy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
killing everybody on board the ship thing. Yeah, that was not ideal.
probably not great. The
No,
key maintaining human intelligence still very important.
human in the loop. We talk about it a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Speaking of, this concept that you guys keep mentioning, the human in the loop,
Mhm.
with the human intelligence movement, initiatives like the Trailblazer pilot program, Maurie, your book, Teachers Have Bigger Fish to Fry. You guys are leading all sorts of initiatives, doing all sorts of stuff, but across it all, is there a key message that you hope to get across to teachers through the work that you're doing?
You are important.
Mm,
And don't let anyone tell you that you're not.
Absolutely. That is
Okay?
the one message we have constantly, like, especially I've said it in many of our trainings, the language arts teachers. All AI should be doing for us is allowing us the moment in time where we look at what it means to be a human being. What does a human creation look like? What does creativity look like? We're evaluating that in a way we've had not done before. Technology has kind of swarmed over us, kind of washed over us for the last 30 to 40 years, and I've been in the middle of it. But at the end of the day, now we're having to go, okay, what does human creativity even mean? And to be able to articulate that is something that language arts teachers do every day. They're trying to teach you to communicate. They're trying to teach you to communicate clearly. Music teachers are trying to teach you loving music, not just how to play it, but how to love music. All of that thing is makes teachers more important than they ever were. And
mhm.
AI, if you let all the tech bros in Silicon Valley convince you that an AI can replace a teacher, maybe a bad teacher, but not a good one. Not in my
Mm-mm.
opinion.
Mm-mm. No, that's
yeah.
exactly right. One of the things that we do say a lot is thank you, AI, because technology 20 years ago, with the invent of social media and all of the things that started happening, we are now having conversations that we should have had 20 years ago. We're having conversations about privacy and about safety and about what it means to be a human and what so we're having all of these conversations. I can remember my daughter coming to me about how, oh, mom, I'm going to save $15 a month on my car insurance because I'm putting this thing in my car so they know if I brake hard or turn too fast. And I'm like, Rachel, that is such a huge invasion of privacy. But
She
she's
doesn't care
willing to do that because,
Mm.
because I
it saves
failed
her
as a parent.
15 bucks a month. And so these are the kind of conversations that we need to start having now because AI is becoming so integrated into everything. But our message for teachers is you are important. And when you have these companies that are coming out there and they're putting in these schools and they're saying that AI is going to do all the teaching and you're now a guide, you're not a teacher,
Not a
it,
fan.
not a fan of that because you cannot. And I have a master's in counseling. I counseled for quite some time. And that connection that those students are not getting at home that you are giving them in your classroom is one of the most important things they're ever going to experience.
Maury, Jim, thank you so much for joining us. It has
Sure.
really been a treat to have you with us today.
Thanks for
Thank
having us.
you. Appreciate it. Don't forget, I do have the book out there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I
So
would love to know how people can connect with you and some information on your book. Where can people find that?
it is on Amazon. Teachers Have Bigger Fish to Fry. It is on Amazon. There is an ebook, but the ebook doesn't give you the reflection pages. It doesn't give you the coloring pages. I made this as a therapy. Okay. You can
Mhm.
go read one of these stories and know that you are seen. You can know that, oh my God, this actually happened to somebody other than me. The kid who threw up on my shoes, the snake that fell from the AC vent onto the teacher's desk. All of those things are in here. And I had so many teachers that shared stories with me to put into this book. So they're not all my stories, they're from all sorts of different teachers all over the United States. So, and it's a very large book.
And in
So,
Australia, you had
and
teachers in
yeah,
Australia.
it's everywhere.
Oh, very
So,
cool.
yeah, so teachers have bigger fish to fry.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again for joining
Thank
us.
you. We appreciate it. Bye.
Appreciate it. You guys have a great rest of the day.
We had some really great takeaways today, Robert. I was really struck by something Maury said, where AI is not just a jumping off point and something for efficiency. I mean, that's how I use it in my day-to-day work, but in order to be forward focused, future focused, AI truly needs to become an opportunity, not just in the workforce, but also in the classroom.
Yeah, there is a saying that I heard once when I worked in a factory a long, long time ago, which is show me the laziest person at the factory who still does his job, and I'll have everyone else do exactly what he does. Because you want to be efficient, which is to do the least and still get the most done. And we all trend towards being efficient, I think. We all want to be
Mm,
as lazy as possible and get our jobs done. That's what efficiency really is and now I can leave and go and do more things that I want to do. But that's very different from an opportunity, which is to do something you never would have done before.
yeah.
And that's a real mind shift. Like, I don't really use AI for efficiency myself. The thing that I most use it for, and I hate this term, but it's true, is vibe coding, which is where you have an LLM spit out code for you to use yourself. I use it to chop up spreadsheets when I know that I could spend like 7 to 9 hours crunching these suckers. It can turn that into 2 minutes, but it also from there I can realize I can do way more things with this that I never would have before using the same prompting methods, just
Hmm.
asking it.
I just feel like that opportunity and the mindset shift into turning these tech companies, tech products, tech tools that come and go into an opportunity, that's really the solution for lasting success. And
Yeah,
that's so important to get through to these kids and to their parents. We have to adapt. And
yeah.
I think that changing it to an opportunity is really a great way to do that.
I think that's true, and I also think that you need to adapt and have it make new things for you, but you also need to stress test it. Like,
Absolutely.
I do think like each time that I make like a piece of code, I treat it as though it was made by a magic elf that I can't entirely trust. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't totally believe that you gave me this. There's some sort of hook where it's like, don't use it after midnight or something like that. I got to really check and make sure that I am that there's nothing snuck in there that's bad, stupid, doesn't work, or that I just don't understand.
It's that human in the loop.
Yeah, 100%.
Maury and Jim both talked about the human in the loop. I think that's a vital piece, and our educators really are that human in the loop of technology. Thanks for listening to the Stuff I Learned About Learning, a TCEA podcast. Like what you heard? Please review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
It really helps.
Want to learn more about us or TCEA in general? Check out tcea.org for all things TCEA. And if you'd like to reach out to us directly, share your thoughts, or volunteer yourself or someone else as a podcast guest, reach out to Robert Bennett
That's me.
at rbennett@tcea.org. That's 2 N's, 2 T's. Don't forget it. And in the meantime, keep learning.
In the future, we could probably get an AI to do most of this.
Yeah, it's fine.